boycott proceedings to protest the laying of amended CI 73 to CI 77. Government pharmacists to strike tomorrow until they are put on the single spine salary policy. Also, Electoral Commission disagrees with media reports that the ongoing biometric verification exercise has recorded low patronage. In business, the Volta River Authority says it is unable to generate electricity due to gas shortage, leading to a loss of some 300 megawatts of electricity. On the entertainment scene, we find out how Azontomania chased Salsa away in Ghana. On the international scene, about 50 South African miners held over the Marikana killings have been freed in court after murder charges against them were dropped. So those are the headlines. Many thanks for staying with me. Let's look at the stories now in detail. There was drama in Parliament today as the minority led by their leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, boycotted proceedings. The march talked about CI 73, which covers the creation of new constituencies, was amended and named CI 77. The minority said CI 77 is an alien document which needs to be properly laid.
It all started when the minority leader, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu, called the attention of the Speaker that the document had a new number and therefore should be laid before Parliament properly.
Representation of People Parliamentary Constituencies Instrument 2012, CI 73. The majority leader then rose and bowed. And that means that that document was the document that was late. It cannot, under any circumstances.
If that is so, who has
But the Speaker disagreed.
Ourselves in numbering that instrument, of course, through feeling that is the same instrument. But let's face it, it was not the same instrument. Okay. It's a no. It's a no. It's a no. It's not a different document.
This generated heated arguments in the House.
Yes, there's a new document. Well, that's your view. I don't agree.
With the stance taken by the Speaker, the minority then walked out.
Motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the Honourable House. As many as are in favour of the motion say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
The contentious CI 73 was brought to Parliament by the EC for approval on the creation of 45 new constituencies across the country.
Drama there at the seat of legislature. In other news, the National Democratic Congress is battle ready for the 2012 elections following the selection of 275 parliamentarians ahead of the legal creation of the new 45 constituencies. Progressive People's Party has already selected 15 candidates, but the NPP and CPP say they are waiting for the legal creation of the constituencies before organizing primaries. Adelaide Arthur has been gauging the preparedness of the political parties and has this report.
Convention People's Party's Director of Communication, Ni Ama Akomfra, tells Joy News the party has chosen those who would stand as members of Parliament for the new constituencies. However, primaries won't be held until Parliament has passed the law.
In many areas of the new constituencies, we have the candidates already on the ground. Some of them have even erected billboards, some have erected posters, etc. But we will wait to see how the CI matures. We believe, as we've said, it's not about our personal advantage that we have, but about the representation of the people. And it's about seeking to make sure that those who are going to be parliamentarians have adequate time to market themselves to the people they are seeking to represent.
The Progressive People's Party has already held primaries in some constituencies in which 15 representatives have been elected. The national chairman of Progressive People's Party, Ni Alote Hammond, says the constitution would be breached if the new constituencies are not created. He argued since new districts have been created, constituencies should be created.
We don't have parliamentary candidates in all of the 45, but we hope that by the time Parliament approves the 45, we would have gotten parliamentary candidates to represent all 45 of them. We would be in some constitutional crisis if the 45 new constituencies are not upheld, because they, in general, have become new districts, and we cannot have a member of parliament representing 2 districts.
The new Patriotic Party insists until the 45 new constituencies are legally created, they would not organize primaries to field parliamentary candidates. The party has been vocal about the EC's attempt to create the new constituencies, saying the timing is wrong and it will only bring about chaos.
When the register has been done for the oncoming election.
The ongoing biometric voters verification exercise goes high-tech. In the comfort of your home or office, you can verify your registration exercise by simply sending a text. The Electoral Commission says the service is meant to make it easy for people with heavy working schedules.
The introduction of the SMS platform by the Electoral Commission is to afford working-class Ghanaians who, due to their work schedule, may be unable to visit the polling centres to ascertain their status, to do so in the comfort of their offices and homes. The SMS platform is seen as a laudable initiative by the EC to make their work and operations more IT-friendly. By the SMS platform, ordinary and working-class Ghanaians can simply text their voter registration number to the short code 1413 on all networks.
This facility that we are launching is going to facilitate our voters. If even you do not have the time, you can be in your homes, wherever you are in Ghana, and whatever network that you are using to access your data. Every voter will have to know where he or she is going to cast her ballot or his ballot on the election day. And this facility will ensure you see that.
A text cost 30 pesos, and within real time, the voter number, name, age, sex, polling station, constituency, district and region where the potential voter registered will be provided. And when there is a problem with the registration details of the prospective voter, the message, "This number is not in the provisional voters register," will appear. This is to give an indication to the prospective voter that there were certain challenges in their registration details that needed to be addressed. But the SMS platform, according to officials, is not enough since it does not come with the picture of the prospective voter. Patrons have therefore been advised to still follow up to the various polling centres where they were registered to verify their registration status.
I will call on Ghanaians to use this facility, even though I know people will be wondering, if you have this facility, then why should you expect us to be at the centers? But I don't want to believe, because the facility is such that at the end of the day, we'll be able to know how many voters have used this facility in checking their data. So we look at that and compare it with the people who had gone physically to the center. So if we have maybe 30% turnout of people at the centers, and we compare it out of this number of registered voters, this number also use the facility, they will be able to know really this number of registered voters have tried to make sure that they check their data.
Deputy Chairman, Finance and Administration of the Electoral Commission, Sule Yamadu, lauded the initiative and called on all Ghanaians who, due to their work schedule and place of residence, will be unable to visit their polling centres to patronize the SMS platform.
Wherever you are, if you are in Bunkrugu Yoyo, you are in Elubo, you are in Kita, in the comfort of your home, you are using MTN, One Touch, Vodafone, whatever, you can access this data. If you can access your data, that does not mean you can go into our database using that same process to maybe add or delete or do something about the data. So the security of our data is assured.
The exhibition of the Voters Register ends on Monday, September 10th, 2012.
So at the Electoral Commission, Sylvia Ano says media reports that the ongoing biometric verification exercise has been low is untrue. She says there is no evidence to substantiate the low turnout since the media has not followed up on all the 23,000 polling centers across the country. She tasked the media to wait till the end of the exercise before making sweeping generalizations.
It's a perception because there is no empirical evidence, with that effect. We may have gone to a few centers, but if you look at the general picture, you have over 23,000 centers across the country. So if you go like even 1,000, you cannot use that to make a generalization. Let's wait for a few days. Let's see the outcome.
But her statement is in sharp contrast with the statement made by Deputy Chairman Finance and Administration of the Electoral Commission, Sule Amadou.
Most of our exhibition exercises have been characterized with low turnout. People think, having been captured during the registration, there wouldn't be the need for me to go to the center. We had low turnout.
This notwithstanding, the Electoral Commission is hoping the introduction of the SMS platform will afford more Ghanaians the opportunity to check their registration status before the exercise ends on Monday, September 10th. Sylvia No also denied media reports that the publicity about the exercise was rather low-key.
Let's draw a line between what we call apathy and publicity. I don't know whether you have checked. You may not have checked because of one reason or the other. It doesn't mean that you don't know about the exhibition. And it doesn't also mean that you won't go and check your name. It's so early. We're given 10 days. So let's take the opportunity to go and rather check our names and then make sure that we deal with the omissions and then other issues.
She also responded to questions on the creation of the new constituencies and how it will impact on the biometric voter register.
After the exhibition, if there are some developments, definitely the Electoral Commission communicates with the general public, particularly the electorate and all stakeholders. We do not leave people in the dark if there's an activity. We talk to people, we communicate effectively to make sure that if it has to do with something, fine. Now, this is about polling station specific. So the whole country, have been captured.
And we're still on the elections. With just some few months to the 2012 elections, Ghana's security seems to be threatened. Emerging security threats such as Ghana being on the top list of Al-Qaeda and recent clashes in neighboring countries such as Ivory Coast poses a great challenge to the country's security. Security experts have therefore advised that Ghana should beef up security at its borders and pay particular attention to cross-border activities that would undermine the security of the country.
Though Ghana is seen as a beacon of hope and democracy in West Africa, it is currently facing security threats from Islamic group Al-Qaeda. It has also been rumored that recent Ivorian clashes involving unknown assailants believed to be a pro-Gbagbo militia group were planned in Ghana. With some few months to elections, can Ghana guarantee peaceful elections with these threats? Security expert and executive secretary of the West African Network for Peace, Emmanuel Bombande, in an interview with Joy News said, cross-border activities should be given all the necessary attention.
How we secure our borders from any cross-border activity that would undermine the security of a neighboring country, in this particular case, Cote d'Ivoire, is important because the impact in the reverse on how, particularly in an election year, we can guarantee peaceful elections can be, so to speak, threatened by this type of cross-border activity. We have to continue to be hospitable, but we must be also very strict in distinguishing who are refugees who really need to be received and supported temporarily, and who are people coming in the name of refugees, but politically engaging in the destabilization of our neighboring countries, which will then have a reverse impact on us.
Meanwhile, the 11th West African Peace Building Institute has been opened in Accra. The 3-week intensive course is geared towards peace building to curtail the number of conflicts in the sub-region and beyond. It is organized by the West African Network for Peace in collaboration with the Kofi Annan Peace Training Center. Some participants share their expectations and what they hope to bring on board.
This course on mediation and dialogue is very, very important, especially for some of us that are working in intergovernmental organizations like ECOWAS, that most of the time we go on fact-finding missions in countries, and we have the time to interact with internal interlocutors, you know, to elicit the kind of information we want from them so that we can make good policies for our policymakers.
Bringing in a lot of issues that we've been able to work on in our organization, building capacity of youth and women, men at the grassroots. But I think that is not just enough. We're here to share from other countries their own perspective, and then come up with strategies that will help us to bring lasting peace in our region.
This year, a total of 30 participants from West Africa and other parts of the country are participating in the training.
You're still watching Joy News at 8. Still to come, government pharmacists to strike tomorrow until they are put on the single-spine salary policy. And the Volta River Authority says it is unable to generate electricity due to gas shortage, leading to a loss of some 300 megawatts of electricity. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and we're still on the elections. Now, the minority in Parliament says they might resort to the court action if the majority decides to go ahead with the approval of CI 77. But the majority insisted the CI will sail through. The leadership from both sides spoke to Joy News after the ruling by the Speaker on the CI 77.
Well, the majority can do whatever they want to do. In the end, the majority is not in control of this country. They are not in the control of this House of Parliament. It is a parliament that belongs to the Republic of Ghana. It is not NDC Parliament. So they can do what they want to do. In the end, there are other institutions of state which would ensure that common sense breaks out in this parliament. Legality is ensured in this parliament.
Numbering of documents sent to the government printing press is done by assembly press. The number is determined by the sequence of documents made available to the assembly press at a particular point in time. So the question is Is it wrong for the Assembly Press to give a different number to the original document submitted to them?
The original was withdrawn because of the fact that its provision conflict with the Supreme Court decision. And therefore, if we went ahead to pass it into law or to let it come into effect at the end of 21 sitting days, somebody can go to the Supreme Court and say that the provisions of this CI are in consonance with the decision of the Supreme Court, and they can knock it down. So you cannot say that a document which is full of faults, which you withdraw and has a number, CI-7, you have withdrawn that, you have made corrections, you have brought a new document to lay, should have the same number.
Minority Leader Oseiche Mensah Bonsu disagrees.
And it's different not only because of the fact that it comes with a new title, CR77. It comes with a different date of Gazette, that is August 16th, instead of the 15th August when it was late. But thirdly, and more importantly, the contents are different in many parts. Which means that if you want to do a new CI-77, we don't have any qualms about that. But let the proper thing be done. In that case, you will have to withdraw the CI-73 and lay this one as a new document. After all, we traveled just 2 days, right, before we exited. So if we had done so today, we would have lost just 2 days. And then, we continue with this new one.
He also took a swipe at the Electoral Commission for going ahead to conduct primaries for the ruling NDC in the yet-to-be-approved newly created constituencies.
Peace, security and economic transformation on the African continent were paramount on the discussion list of world leaders in Addis Ababa over the weekend. Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur returned home today from the Ethiopian capital, where he represented the country at late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi's final funeral rite. The Vice President and his entourage arrived at about 11:30 a.m. today, including the Foreign Minister Alhaji Mohamed Mumuni and his deputy, who were in Tehran for a non-aligned movement summit. Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur said the occasion was used to discuss developmental challenges facing the African continent and a total African emancipation.
We described the late leader as one of Africa's visionary leaders who closely with President Mills had been discussing the struggles for African emancipation. At the burial, a number of African leaders, as you must have seen on TV, a number of African leaders made a substantial comment about the role that Excellency Meles Zenawi had played in Africa, his role in providing peace and security in his sub-region, in the economic transformation of Ethiopia, and in some of the discussions of Africa's economic development, especially the NEPAD. And they played glowing tribute to him.
The Foreign Affairs Minister also shared highlights of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit, where he represented President John Dramani Mahama. He said the platform was used to discuss solutions to imbalances in the world economic order and protection of the sovereignty of these nations.
In contemporary times, the members of the NAM, that is the developing countries of Africa and of Asia, they still face certain common challenges of building strong economies, challenges posed by globalization. The NAM showed its relevance insofar as defending against international hegemony and, the attempt to dominate and marginalize small countries. The effort to entrench multilateralism and its principles towards solving.
Government and Hospital Pharmacist Association, comprising pharmacists working in government hospitals, clinics and other healthcare facilities, have served notice they intend to embark on a nationwide strike from tomorrow. The association's chairman, Stephen Kokwe, explained they have taken the decision because of the failure to migrate them onto the new pay policy.
Pharmacists say they are the only healthcare professionals who have still not been migrated onto the single spine salary structure following an 11th-month stalemate with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Chairman of the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association, Stephen Kokwe, says government has reneged on its promise of migrating them onto the new pay policy.
This will be almost about the third strike, and any time around, our members are called to exercise restraint while government and the necessary institutions actually resolve and sit down and negotiate for us to have these matters resolved. It has traveled all this while. We have gone to the Labour Commission. There has been a compulsory arbitration. We've come back and forth.
According to Mr. Kokwe, since April 2012, some pharmacists were paid less than 100 Ghana cedis a month, while all attempts to seek an end to the long impasse failed.
This is worrisome because most of our members are getting the old structure, while their colleagues, nurses, doctors, other healthcare professionals are enjoying the new salary structure. And you know the economic situations that has pushed down and members have become so agitated. We as leaders have tried to tell them to exercise restraint whilst we and the Honorable Minister and the Deputy Minister try as much as possible to resolve. But they have also said that they have been very tolerant and very patient all this while.
He maintained nothing will change their mind until they are finally migrated onto the single spine salary structure. Meanwhile, the National Labour Commission has summoned the Government and Hospital Pharmacists Association and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission before it to address the issue on September 4.
The Civic Forum Initiative and National Constitutional Reform Coalition (NCRC) are calling on government to make the report of the Constitutional Review Commission and the government white paper available and accessible to the ordinary Ghanaian. The groups are appealing to government to provide Ghanaians with simplified and translated versions of the document.
The Constitutional Review Commission was set up by government in 2010 to determine the appropriateness of making changes to the 1992 Constitution. After 20 years of its existence, the commission presented its findings to the late President John Evans Atta Mills in December last year. Government subsequently published its white paper on the report in June 2012. The National Constitutional Reform Coalition and the Civic Forum Initiative, however, believes the process is incomplete.
The government accepted most of the recommendations of the Commission, rejected others with reasons, and announced that it would set up a 5-member implementation committee to start work immediately. Since the white paper was published, the CRC and the Ministry of Information have collaborated with NCCE and GJA, the Ghana Journalists Association, in carrying out limited public dissemination activities. We have also observed that the level of participation and inclusiveness that characterized the consultation process and thereby promoted citizenship and ownership has regrettably declined since the submission of the CRC report.
The groups have therefore made recommendations which, according to them, will encourage more participation in the discussions of the CRC report and the government's white paper.
The implementation body that the government intends to set up should have membership and functions that address the gaps in public participation and ownership of the process as identified in the statement. All the recommendations arising from the Constitution review process should be made accessible to the general public with a view to promoting understanding of the rationale and logic behind them, as well as their implications and possible effects on the governance of the country. Simplified, user-friendly versions would be helpful, as well as translations in local languages.
The groups also urged political parties to engage the documents as part of their campaigns in order to build consensus on the measures needed to make the Constitution better.
We shift into the world of business. Coming up is the business report. Welcome to the segment. In business today, the Volta River Authority says it is unable to generate electricity due to gas shortage, leading to a loss of some 300 megawatts of electricity. This, according to the VRA, has necessitated a national load shedding exercise to ration power until regular gas supplies are normalized. Heads of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Volta River Authority, and Ghana Grid Company revealed this during a press briefing in Accra. The Asogli plant, which produces 200 megawatts of electricity, is said to be currently non-operational because it runs mainly on gas, which is in short supply at the moment. Other dual-purpose equipment used to generate power are now running on light crude oil, which the VRA says has adequate supply to last for about a month. Authorities blame the shortage on a damage caused to the West African gas pipeline in Togo by an anchor of a ship leading to its shutdown.
There is a vessel that is on its way from Gabon to Lomé to inspect what the damage to the pipeline is and then try to fix. The vessel is supposed to reach Lomé, Togo within the next 24 hours. But then we would not be able to say how long it would take to fix after it has gotten there, because that would depend on the extent of damage that they will discover.
The acting managing director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, William Houghton Mensah, says the effect will be minimal on industries as priority will be given to them during the load management program. Electricity will be out during peak period from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. during off-peak period. The ECG is assuring Ghanaians that no matter the situation, electricity will be available during the December polls.
From our point as ECG, the assurance that in any situation we will make sure that we manage it very, very well, and we are mindful of this upcoming elections. That is a major event for the country. So whatever we need to do to ensure that electricity is available for use during the elections, I give the assurance that it will be done.
A Takrady plant under repairs is expected to be ready soon to generate 100 megawatts of electricity, according to the Deputy Chief Executive of VRA. VRA insists its machines are all in good order, except the problem of gas shortage, which is affecting operations. Ghana's shipping industry has been plagued by numerous challenges, including bureaucracy, congestion at the port, and delays in clearing goods, among others. As the Ghana Shippers Authority celebrates its 6th National Shippers Day, the authority hopes, among other things, to eliminate the bottlenecks stifling the industry.
The National Shippers Day is a biennial event which was instituted by the Ghana Shippers Authority in 1997 as a platform for interaction among key players along Ghana's international trade and transport chain, including shippers, ship owners, port authorities, freight forwarders, customs, multimodal transport operators, and other ancillary service providers. The theme for this year's two-day event is Enhancing Shipping Competitiveness, Removing the Obstacles. In his welcome address, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Dr. Kofi Imbia, highlighted some of the contributions the shipping industry has made to the Ghanaian economy.
Our projections are that by the end of 2012, we are likely to hit the 19 million ton mark. That is very significant improvement in terms of the total throughput. Mr. Chairman, the 19 million tons of cargo which lubricates the economic activities in our country are generated by the activities of shippers, and through these activities, government generates substantial part of its revenue. For these reasons, the efforts of shippers deserve our recognition and commendation, especially when viewed against the backdrop of the myriad of challenges that confront them in their export and import businesses.
Mrs. Jifa Ativo represented the Minister of Trade at the event and commended the authority for holding the event. She also assured them of government's commitment to ease the challenges they face.
I also take this opportunity to commend the Ghana Shippers Authority, who have continued to successfully organize this biennial Shippers Day event as a platform for all stakeholders in the shipping industry to address issues pertaining to the industry and also use it as an avenue for the development of advocacy action for government's attention. These seminars have become significant events on community, and it attests to the Shippers Authority's commitment to promote and protect the interests of shippers in Ghana. Government will continue to pursue reforms that will enhance competitiveness, including the needed improvements in the ports as national economic infrastructure to revitalize growth in the industry.
Prince Kofi Amoabeng, CEO of UT Holdings, in his keynote address said shipping business is everybody's business, and the only way to improve the competitiveness of the shipping industry was to address some basic issues.
And foremost is the government, because after all, we vote them into power and give them all the authority to collect the taxes and develop what they want to develop and ensure the hint of this, that people are not easily identified in this country. For the shippers, it is quite crucial. How can we live in a country where people don't have addresses? And of course, I'm not even talking about good roads, but addresses. That I find most of the time that you have to clear your goods, you have to go to the port and sit in front of the truck to take the truck to where you come from. You can't just clear things and say, bring it to C312-D institutions that we have. And it's institutions that run the port, institutions that run this country. And we expect the government to actually keep up these institutions and build the structures and systems that will be easy for governance in the same place and for other institutions to also operate. We've had a country where inflation at best has been about 10 years year on year. This doesn't help the shipper. It's difficult to plan. By the time the goods arrive, the expected returns and everything is out of sync.
Among the speakers were representatives from the Nigerian and Cameroonian shipping authorities. As part of the two-day event, the Ghana Shippers Authority also launched a maiden edition of the Ghana Maritime Trade and Transport Digest, which is intended to furnish all stakeholders with useful information on the maritime landscape in Ghana. Awards were also presented to shipping luminaries for their pivotal roles they've played in the industry both in Ghana and around the world.
The business report will end with your smart investment tips before we go into the world of showbiz.
When a girl sees abortion as her last resort, when the abortion turns rape, the sex, the sleaze, and the drugs. From the stables of Tiger IPI, in conjunction with Joy News on Multi TV, comes another thrilling and captivating episode of Wild Ghana. Viewers under 18 are warned to stay away from watching this video. Wild Ghana, showing 5th September exclusively on the Joy News channel.
Showbiz with Airtel is next on the bill. Azonto may be the dance craze today, but years before its arrival, everybody who wanted to show class on the dance floor makes it a point to learn at least the basic steps of the energetic Latin American dance salsa. In recent times, though, it appears the salsa craze has fizzled out. If you are one of such persons who think Ghanaian dancers have closed the chapter on their Latino side, then you're sure are in for a surprise, because patrons of this dance form meet every week to sharpen their intricate choreography.
About 10 years ago, when the salsa craze swept over Ghana, it was more of a youth-driven phenomenon, and young people who could not do at least the very basic salsa steps were considered kulu. According to Joshua Nsa, a salsa dance instructor, the salsa craze in Ghana has not died out. Rather, he says it is going through a rebranding process.
Nowadays, especially the adults, 30 plus, 45 people plus, seen as a way of working out. So they've restructured, so it's no longer outdoor like it used to. We go to corporations, people's houses, the gym, and you see adults dancing as a way of working out. So I don't say it's died out, it's just rebranded, basically, yeah.
Interestingly, many salsa aficionados today use the dance as a workout routine to stay in shape.
Because it keeps me exercising and I love it. Actually, it's keeping me in shape. I love my body right now.
Oh, it's good. You know, constant practicing will make you perfect and you do very well. So that's how it is. And I like it and I love to do salsa.
Cuba is often regarded as the home of salsa. But this is in dispute, as some have argued that the dance could be traced to Africa. Yet, others say it evolved from France. Salsa is a sensual dance that can only be danced by a man and a woman. Joshua describes it as a decent dance for a lady and a gentleman.
First of all, you should look good, you should smell good, definitely, because it's a close, compact kind of dance. And most importantly, you should be comfortable in your wear. So for a lady, you should have shoes that hold her leg together with buckles and stuff. It could be full sneakers, shoes. Once you're comfortable with it. But it depends on location too. It's an evening program like this, sneakers no work. But in the gym, it could work out. You know. So once you're comfortable, slippers is out of my question. It's a gentleman's dance. You cannot be drunk or tipsy on a dance floor, or else it's a bad odor. So a lot of things go into it. I think it's the best decent dance on earth.
But with all these sensual moves incorporated in the dance, how would one feel watching his or her partner dance with a totally different person? Gifty Acel is Joshua's fiancé.
It really doesn't matter who he's dancing with. Just looking at him is just enough.
But of course, some men will never allow their girlfriends to even try the steps when they themselves cannot dance salsa. It is rumored that gays love to dance salsa too. Joshua agrees and attributes it to the sensual movements in the dance. For Joshua, salsa has only been a source of income as he gets paid to teach people become salseros or salseras, as the dancers are known here in Ghana. Well, I could not leave the hall without trying a few steps. Mind you, I haven't done this in years. But of course, that is why Joshua gladly offered to take me through the steps. Well, the next time you think of exercising, try salsa and you sure will be keeping in shape as well as the best time of your life.
Salsa there for you. Some celebrities in Ghana have combined forces to spread the gospel and win souls for Christ. Actor Timothy Bentum, together with some of his celebrity friends, have formed a group called Actors, Presenters, Professionals and Musicians for Christ, APPMC, with the aim of using their status in society to draw as many people as possible to God.
It was a groundbreaking testimonial sermon yesterday at the Trinity Baptist Church in Accra. The star-studded evangelism tour made a stopover at the church, and the Spirit of the Lord descended onto those who were in his presence.
The greatest power human beings have is a power of choice. This is bad, don't do this, don't do that. You were just like me, flesh and blood. I don't have the power to tell you what you're doing is not good. No, you already know what is right and what is wrong inside of you.
I'm here to support my brothers and sisters. You know, we're here to win souls to Christ. I think it's really important, and we're all here to worship Christ. After all, he's the reason why we are alive. He's the reason why we're human. He's the reason why we're here on this earth.
This is a Jesus. This is a Jesus. This is a Jesus. This is a Jesus. That's a Jesus. Don't say it. If you like, don't say it. You're on your own. For me, I will say Jesus.
Actor Timothy Bentum, who is the leader of the group Actors, Presenters, Professionals and Musicians for Christ, APPMC, says their fans admire them so much that they are ready to live the lives of the celebrities. This, he says, led him to come up with this tour, so that if the various celebrities in this group could help win souls for Christ by being the ones to spread the gospel to the fans.
We use our positions that God has given us to spread the gospel. So, for instance, if you hear that we are in a particular location, droves of people are going to come to see, the stars. Okay, and then when they come, we take that opportunity to preach the gospel to them. That's what happens. And the first one was done with the Apostolic Church, and the second one was done as at the Trinity Baptist Church inside Legon, opposite IPS.
This is the second of the Neighborhood to Neighborhood Evangelism Tour. The first was in collaboration with the Apostolic Church Ghana at the New Boyman Assembly and Adabraka Area Witness, where, according to Bentum, 15 notable miracles were recorded, including the healing of a man with half-stroke and an 8-year-old who couldn't walk. So, where will the next tour take them?
The climax of this whole event, we intend to fill not the dome but the stadium with young people who love God and are ready to rededicate their lives to God or to give their lives to Christ the first time. Okay, and so we're doing all these things. It's called a neighborhood evangelism. We'll go neighborhood to neighborhood, region to region, and eventually we'll have like a huge one at the stadium where we want to believe 10, 15,000 people can come to Christ. You can imagine the joy that would be in heaven. So eventually, yes, there'll be a stadium event and it'll be off the chain. You can believe me.
Timothy says the next evangelism promises to be more star-studded and lots more souls will be won for Christ.
Our people in showbiz, they're winning souls for Christ. Showbiz with Airtel was brought to you by Airtel. Feel free. Up next is international news. About 50 South African miners held over the Marikana killings have been freed in court after murder charges against them were dropped. This comes a day after prosecutors provisionally dropped charges against 270 of the striking mine workers following a public outcry.
Earlier, security guards wounded 4 people with rubber bullets at a mine near Johannesburg. The incident follows the killing of 34 striking miners by police at the Marikana Platinum Mine near Johannesburg 2 weeks ago. The charges leveled under an apartheid-era law were suspended following a national outcry. Although police fired the shots, some 270 striking miners were arrested and charged with murdering the 34. Chief Executive of Gold One, Neil Foreman, says the 4 who were injured have now been discharged from hospital. He said they were former employees of the mine who had been sacked for an illegal strike in June. They had blockaded the entrance of the mine and prevented half of the mine's workforce of 500 from getting in, he added. The South African Police Service then fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse the group, said Gold One. Gold Productions has been affected, but most of the 500 workers are now back at the mine.
A suicide bomber killed himself and 2 others when he drove a car bomb into a U.S. consular vehicle in the Pakistani city of Peshawar. U.S. officials said no one from the U.S. consulate was killed, but that 2 U.S. and 2 Pakistani staff were injured.
At least 19 people were injured when the bomber rammed the explosive-laden car into the 4-wheel drive vehicle. Peshawar is a key city linking the volatile tribal areas bordering Afghanistan with the rest of Pakistan. Taliban and Al-Qaeda militants operate in the area, and the city has been targeted frequently in bombings in recent years. Although U.S. officials are said to be protected by extensive security measures, there was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack, which left a crater in a busy street. Firemen were seen putting out a vehicle that was mangled and blackened from the explosive.
Before we end the international segment, self-styled leader Sun Myung Moon, whose Unification Church became famous for marrying thousands of people in a single ceremony, has died aged 92. Moon set up the church, whose members are often called Moonis, in the 1950s in the South Korean capital, Seoul.
Moon was born in 1920 in Pyongyang province in what is now known as North Korea. He claimed that while he was praying at the age of 15, Jesus appeared to him and asked him to set up God's kingdom on earth. Moon said he refused twice, but accepted on the 3rd request. He established the church, formerly known as the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification, in 1954, a year after the Korean War ended. It was known for mass weddings in which thousands of couples, many who did not know each other but had been paired by the church, got married in huge stadium-based ceremonies. He claimed to have millions of members, many in the U.S., but was accused of brainwashing and profiteering. Moon built up a global business empire, setting up newspapers, arms factories, universities, and food distributors. He died early on Monday at a hospital near his home in northeast of Seoul, where the headquarters of his church is located. He had been admitted to the hospital, which is owned by the church, 2 weeks ago, suffering from pneumonia. The church will hold a 13-day mourning period before his funeral on 15 September. Moon will be buried at Cheonseong Mountain near his home. Moon's youngest son, Hyun Jin Moon, became the church's most senior leader in 2008.
And that does it for Joy News at 8. Many thanks for staying with us through it all. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. Do join us again at 11.